to model countries and what they need to do to improve their services. So hopefully, when I was a child, you might like the kind of thing I used to like. I used to love the Christmas lectures. Do you remember them coming on? It was from the Science Centre. So once, actually a colleague of Paul and I went to the Science Centre with Strathclyde University, and we did some demonstrations with Boy Scouts, and we were casting their finger, and they went home with a finger to just tell them about prosthetics. And we blocked the entire sinks of the Science Centre, which wasn't a good thing. But we're going to I'll let you see some things today. And I think the Christmas lectures always brought technology home. My sister, who was on reception desk, or is on reception desk, I will tell you that when I was little, I used to love taking things apart and seeing how they worked and putting them back together, and I still do. So I thought maybe we could try and reverse engineer a little bit of this high-tech things that you might see on the table so that you understand them. So body signals. What's a body signal? Hello, everybody waved. That's a body signal, and it's like a greeting. So we have lots of we have sound, we have other kinds of signals, and I have my science kit here. Smooth out triangle, beautifully made by our volunteer, June. Our triangle at the front there. Okay, so I'm thinking...
Sandy, better late than never. I did.
Oh, great, Tony. Thank you very much. I wouldn't know how to use it. That's the problem. So you might see some technologies like this around, and you wonder how they can work. And Tony can show you later. So Dr. McGarry is from the university and is kindly here today, and I asked him if he had a Myo toy, so we can maybe put that on the steeper stand later and play with it. Well, where's Paul? If that's okay. So we can look at that. So, well, you can see things are happening now when I'm playing with this, and we wonder why. Why does that happen? I'm touching 2 bits of metal. Why does that happen? Why is it when you stick things in a potato you can make a clock? Has anyone ever made a potato clock? Do you not wonder why things happen? So what I'm thinking about is sensing movement. And you can think about sensing movement. So I can do my Wii, I can do my hula hooping. I'll not demonstrate on my Wii. I can think about different ways of sensing things. I can think about light and signalling. So it's about what signals can our bodies give off to be able to work. Look, all of the Porter trustees other than me that are runners and Margaret use these quite a lot because they do night things, night running, which I'm a bit bad. Okay, is that on? Because I can't tell. Okay, so I'm going to give you a signal from my body, which is about my movement, and I'm going to ask you to know what it is.
Flashing.
It's SOS.
Yay! Stuart, give that man a coconut. So that was SOSing. Not particularly well, but SOSing. So you can see that. You can see that if you're on a cliff and I'm stuck on a cliff and you're on that cliff and I'm really stuck and I'm cold and need a blanket and I'm stuck and the helicopter has to come, I could signal you. Ian's videoing me. No. So that's quite a useful signal. So you can see that I can use movement to signal things. Okay, I can use pressure to signal things as well. And I have with me a little demonstration here, which I bought on Wishaw High Street. You need to come to my shopping doyen of Wishaw. Okay, and I'd like you to see this. Okay, I just pressed his hand. My goodness, I can use pressure. That's quite clever. Alan, can I borrow your first 3D printed transfemoral socket in the world? Over here, please. I didn't ask Alan before. It's not so big. How long's it going to go on? So you need to see this. This was launched in France. Wow, we got it in Kilbride. Look. Right. Deck the halls with the Holly. Stop! He's supposed to stop! But we've bought it Wishaw. my knee, and I want it to do something good, you know, or to help me stand up, to signal something to happen. And I've got a socket, and I've got like muscles and movement. Maybe I could make that happen. Maybe I need something to happen every time I do something with my body. So then I can put my socket on, and I can put my pressure pad in there, and I can make the Christmas tree go. It's dead. Okay, so if anyone would like to take that home, otherwise we'll be listening to that.
Draw prize.
Yay!
So you can add technologies together to do things. So you can, I signalled, I moved, my muscles moved, and then that started to work, which is really interesting. I used sensing movement, and I've used pressure to make my Christmas tree dance. What about your muscles? This is Arnold Schwarzenegger. So Doris and I last night in the bar, how do you spell Schwarzenegger? I don't know. Google, so I could get this image. So we found this image of Arnie, so you'll remember his muscles. So when your muscles work, they produce a little electric signal, and that can be detected on the skin. So that's this picture here shows you some muscle fibers in a bundle, and you've got a motor neuron, which just means a moving signalling piece that's stuck to that muscle fiber, and the muscle then, once it knows to do something, it can then move, and then once it moves or contracts, then you can pick up a little signal. So it's called a potential difference, and you can detect them by electrodes. So Tony has very nicely got these electrodes. Okay, so you can play with this later. So I can choose to use these electrodes, so I can twitch my muscles inside something, and some of you might have hands, you might have ankles these days, even bracing like orthotics. You can have knees now that you can do signalling, but it switches, a different kind of thing. So lots of signals. Then just say when you want something to happen. And then, but you've got to have this, which is a power source and a motor and things to make things move. But that's essentially how body signals can work technology, so it's quite useful. So you can play with this as much as you like. Actually, we'll put it on the porter stand, so you'll come and see us, next to near the steeper stand. And then we have another hand here, so it's Paul around. I can't see Paul just now. Just to bring over, he's got a demo hand over there you can play with. I'm going to run. Okay, so this is the B-bionic hand, which is a kind of development from this hand. It does different things, but still it's just bits of kit, bits of technology linked together, and you can play with it a little. So he told me how to do this. I'm hoping it works. Yeah, okay, so you can open it and close it. This one's much easier because it says open and close. That gives you the clues. It's easier to use. But then you can see, and you'll hear little whirring things. Can you hear this? Can you hear it? So that's just the little motors working when I've signalled it. So my signal in this case is pressure, but my signal in this case is my potential difference across the skin. So you can see how they work, and you can play with them. So that's a really nice hand you can play with. It's very good. So we've got a lady using that in a moment. So you can see what she thinks about it.
I think I didn't really realise the effects that living without a hand had on my life until I got the B-bionic. I really have set myself a lot of challenges in life, and now I realise that I don't necessarily have to, that I can have a hand and it can make my life easier. I think it has stopped me from doing things that I love, only having one hand. I am a really active person, and I love doing things like running, and I haven't really been able to do anything like cycling because although I can ride a bike, it's just not good for my posture to sit on a bike with one hand. The sitting was an exciting process, so I went in and had my arm measured, so the cast was made that exactly fitted around my arm, and then I went back a few weeks later and they attached the hand to the socket that they'd made me, and I was able to try it out for the first time, and it just blew my mind what I could do with it, to be honest.
The first fitting with Nikki went really, really well. Nikki benefits from having some previous prosthetic experience, but all throughout the fitting process it ran very smoothly. We spent some time together talking about what she expected and what she wanted from her prosthetic hand. We did the initial assessment and looked at her capability to produce the signals to control the hand, and then moved on to the socket fitting and the training of use with the hand. After her fitting, Nikki quickly established a good pattern of wear and a good control of the hand. She quickly learned to open and close the hand reliably with different speeds of operation, and changing between the grips was very natural to Nikki. She picked it up very quickly, learned how to access different grips for the different tasks she was undertaking.
Okay, so I'm a believer in a pass it forward experience where everything you see that I teach is available for you online through YouTube or other things, and we'll make sure that this is linked in the Porter website. And my sister's just telling me it's time for our break, and I'd like her to see this, as she's an artist. I'd like you to see this lady who's an artist. Never be limited in what you can do.
We'll end the week with the story of determination and creativity. The story of an artist whose career should have come to an end when she became paralysed from the neck down. But it didn't because of some incredible technology. To explain, here's Nick Thatcher.
Sarah Ezekiel is painting a picture using just her eyes. Motor neurone disease may have robbed her of any movement from the neck down, but she refuses to let her illness steal her talent as an artist. At her home in Hendon, using the same technology, she explained to me how she paints and how it's given her a new lease of life.
There is an infrared bar picking up my eye movements, so I do everything by just looking at my screen. It's amazing. I wouldn't be able to paint with any other assistive technology. I feel much more content and fulfilled now. Artists will always create.
Her artwork is generating interest from across the world, selling in Europe, America and Australia. And Sarah has used the money she's raised to buy the same technology for someone else living with motor neurone disease.
There is no funding available for this equipment, and it can make a real difference. Life and death even.
Sarah says her diagnosis when she was 7 months pregnant with her second child left her in a state of total shock and despair. But the technology operated by her eyes allows her to be more independent in her own home and gives her access to the wider world.
So while Sarah is able to use her computer to speak, she can also operate her home around her, access her curtains, her television control, her front door. As well as that, she has access to the internet, so she can get onto Facebook, onto Twitter, onto things like Patients Like Me, where she can talk to other people with similar conditions to hers. So it's so much more than just a direct access method to her immediate surroundings.
And social media is not just opening up her world again, it's inspiring others as to what can be achieved. Next Tuesday, her artwork goes on display at the Bloomsbury Theatre, and Sarah says she hopes those who come to see it will leave with one simple message.
That anything is possible despite illness, disability or just general problems in life.
Nick Thatcher, London Tonight, Hendon.
Okay, so I'd like to thank you very much for this first session, and to all our speakers for this first session, and it's time to go for coffee.